Jared's going to get his revenge here and win and move on to the top 8, or do you think Ben's going to go 7-0 and then he'll be in the top 8?
Well, when I've lost really important matches, I usually spend the week replaying them in my head. I guess if Jared's anything like that, I bet he is ready for this matchup. He's played these games through many times.
Yeah, I remember Jared's Facebook status. He said that he thought Owen had really good draws. But I don't know. We'll see if Owen just had good draws. I personally think Owen probably played extremely well. He's an excellent player.
Owen's pretty good.
All right. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Blue-White Red Delver will be on the play this game. So Benjamin starts off on Volcanic Island and ponders. Looks like he opts to keep them on top. He's going to draw a Spell Pierce for the turn. So when you play against someone who's had such a high finish as Jared, do you just assume that he's on Sneak and Show when playing?
Yeah, you could probably assume. Plus, these guys were both 5-0 and 4-0 and 3-0. So there's a good chance they were sitting close to each other the previous rounds. So they probably both know what each deck is.
Yep. Jared starts off on Island. And interestingly enough, despite the fact that he has Gitaxian Probe, he's choosing not to play it yet.
Yeah, you don't always want to cast Gitaxian Probe in turn 1. Lots of times you want to wait until the turn that you're going to go off, or maybe the turn before, or a turn where you're really looking for something specific. All right, so Ben is going to sacrifice his Misty Rainforest.
Yep.
Maybe this is a Stoneforge Mystic right here.
Yeah, no, and it's safe to go for the Mystic on turn 2. There's always a chance that Sneak and Show can combo you off if you tap out here.
That is true. I mean, maybe Ben has a Force of Will in hand. I do see a Daze. So if he has some disruption, that's fine.
All right, so he's going to try for Stoneforge Mystic. We'll see if it resolves. Indeed, it does. Benjamin, between the two equipment, probably going to go for the Batterskull.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah, and plus you just want to clock against a Sneak and Show deck. Like if you're in the play and going turn 2, if you have turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, that's why it's in your deck. You really can't not play and just like hold up a Spell Pierce or hold up something. You just have to run out Stoneforge Mystic and see what happens.
All right, so he's going to go ahead and get the Batterskull there, and that should be his turn.
Yeah, Ben will just shuffle up and then pass to Jared. Now maybe Jared's going to do the Gitaxian Probe on this turn. We don't really know his hand. Maybe if he has a Show and Tell, maybe if he has something like a Lotus Petal to ramp.
Right. So the advantage to waiting on the Gitaxian Probe is that you get closer to your combo turns. You can combo with perfect information. The disadvantage is that you're making decisions with less information.
Earlier on, but later on, like you said, the information becomes more valuable.
Right, so he's going to go ahead and use the probe turn 2 here. So we see Ben's hand. It is 2 lands, the Batterskull we knew about, a Lightning Bolt, and then Daze and Spell Pierce for disruption.
This is an average hand. It's nothing insane. It's definitely not terrible because he has Daze and Spell Pierce. It would be nice if, for example, he had a Force of Will instead of that Lightning Bolt, or a Force of Will instead of, say, that Tundra or Misty Rainforest. But, Ben's hand is fine.
Yeah, off the probe, Jared draws his own Force of Will. It looks like he may be going for a combo turn here. He's going to play Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb. That's 4 mana. And looks like he's going to go for Show and Tell with that extra mana up to pay for for Daze if Ben decides to do it.
Yeah, and he's going to put a Grizzlebrand into play.
Yeah.
So Ben decides to Daze, is paid with the Lotus Petal.
All right, Grizzlebrand and Batterskull come into play, and this is pretty good news for Jared, right?
It really is. So Grizzlebrand hit play on the second turn. I mean, no one could really be too upset about that. And Ben's going to have to draw something here.
Well, he has to Swords it, right? Well, we'll see. Jared actually may try to just combo off here. He's going to start by drawing 7, so he goes on to 9.
I mean, Ben doesn't have the swords.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, they aren't even in his deck?
Yeah, I mean, he has it in his deck. He needs to draw swords, but even if he were to draw a sword, it doesn't necessarily get him out of anything here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get Force of Will. We know that Jared has a Force of Will and a blue card. So he draws 7 there, plays a Lotus Petal. Remember, he's already played his land this turn.
Yep. Ben does have that Spell Pierce, remember. So you could actually Spell Pierce that Force of Will.
And then he discards 2 lands and a Sneak Attack, ships back.
Okay, so he just draws a Tundra. So it looks like Ben's going to probably have to attack with the Batterskull here into the Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, but Jared will know that he can't block because Jared is aware of the Lightning Bolt in Ben's hand.
Yeah, so this looks just pretty bad for Ben. I mean, obviously, if your opponent plays a turn 2 Grizzlebrand, it's going to look bad for anybody.
Fair enough. So swing from Batterskull. The worry, well, there would have been a worry, I suppose, that he could get double Lightning Bolted. The Tundra as a tell that's not going to happen.
I mean, there is a chance that Jared actually blocks here because Jared could block and then he could draw 7 extra cards from the Grizzlebrand and still be at 9 life.
All right.
Because he'll gain the life and go to 16 and then go down to 9 again. But instead, he just takes it.
All right, so Jared's down to 5. Benjamin is up to 23. There's going to still be a few turns left in this game. So, and then he passes back. We see a sneak attack drawn from Jared Boettcher. Does he swing right away with the Gristlebrand? It looks like he's going to try to find an Emrakul.
Yeah, especially with him having sneak attack in hand, he wants to find something, and he might want to try to end this game, essentially this turn.
Yeah, so
he won't be able to deal 23 damage. He could possibly deal 22 damage, but either way, I mean, if
he would annihilate 6, which would be great. Doesn't find his thing where he finds another copy of sneak attack, another copy of show and tell, another Lotus Petal. That one he is interested in. He's going to play that out.
Exactly. So I believe he's just going to attack. He's going to go up to 12 here.
Right. And most likely he cannot draw 7 right now.
No, yeah, he cannot draw 7 right now. So even though it's bad for Ben, it's not completely a lost cause. So we'll see if Ben draws anything here. He draws another Stoneforge Mystic. Not really going to help out too much.
There's still only one Force of Will in Jared's hand, so Ben has possibilities. But you're right, Stoneforge Mystic, all it can do is get a GT for him at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to swing in for 5. So Jared will fall down to 7.
Yep, Jared's down to 7. Ben's back up to 20.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jared's probably going to win the next turn.
Yeah, do you make the second Stoneforge? I mean, does it matter?
Yeah, you probably do. I don't know if it matters at all, though. But just like not casting it doesn't really help that much. I mean, all it really gives you is the ability to pay for your opponent's spell pierce.
Right.
So because you have your own spell pierce, also you're able to go spell pierce, lightning bolt. But I think the game might be over next turn. We'll see what happens. It seems like Jared is considering possibly force of willing this. Is he worried about a
Jete? A little bit on it. I don't know if he should be very worried about a Jete.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that Jared just completely bricks off and he could lose the game.
Yeah, remember Jared's only going to get to swing with a Gristlebrand next turn. He's not going to be able to he's going to have very little time to try to dig for that Emrakul.
Well, sure, he has a little time, but he has a lot of cards sometimes. If he wants to draw the 7, if he's able to. I believe he also has a Brainstorm in hand, at least one Brainstorm.
I mean, yeah, and he's going to let this resolve. Ben's going to go ahead and get the Jete.
And it's also Intuition he has.
Yeah.
If he's Intuition, he goes to 5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Yeah,
Intuition for
Emrakul.
Right?
Yeah. So
there are 7 permanents. Benjamin will get to keep 1 thing.
Well, he actually can't really Intuition for Emrakul, right? Because Benjamin has the spell. Oh, no, he could Spell Pierce, and then Jared was Force of Will. All right, so I think Jared's going to try to close out this game next turn.
So he's not going to end step Intuition.
No, he is going to end step Intuition. So he's going to go to the 5. Yeah, end step Intuition. So he's going to go for the Intuition. Ben's going to go for a Spell Pierce, and then Jared's going to have a Force of Will.
All right, so we're going to see this Intuition. Benjamin knows that this is probably a spell he cannot let resolve. He has to choose whether or not he wants to fight over this spell or the next spell.
Yeah, I mean, even if, for example, if Ben wanted to go Bolt to Jared, he would bring him down to 2. But the whole thing is, in his head, and then he can't tap the Ancient Tomb. The Ancient Tomb becomes shut off.
Right.
Be a pre-combat. But Jared has the Force of Will.
All right, so Jared, the Force of Will is just a blanket answer to whichever line Ben takes.
So actually, Ben should not have played the Stoneforge Mystic, because if Ben didn't play the Stoneforge Mystic,
he could pierce and bolt.
Yeah, he could pierce and bolt. So I think that's actually very relevant. If Ben didn't play the Stoneforge Mystic, he would have been able to bolt and spell pierce, and I think have another turn here.
Yeah, it was more like the Jete is just not very relevant, right? It only starts affecting your clock, not even next turn, but the turn after. That turn probably doesn't exist.
Yeah, so I think Ben might go back and watch this and realize that I don't think he's
costing the match.
Yeah,
exactly. Costing the game.
Yeah. So, but there it is.
All right,
1,
3
2.
Emrakuls.
All right, 3 Emrakuls here. Yeah. Ben has a lot of good sideboard cards, so I have to give credit for Ben. He's definitely going to bring in those meddling mages. He's going to bring in a couple of blasts. So even something like Wear and Tear could be okay here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of game post-board.
Yeah.
Okay, Jared gets 1 Emrakul. The other 2 are going to shuffle back in along with the Intuition.
Yep. All right, so everything gets shuffled in. And Jared's going to be free to, play Sneak Attack, sneak an Emrakul. He has 4. Yeah. He has enough mana because he has a Force of Will backup. So looks pretty good for Jared.
Should work out as long as he plays it correctly. It will.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how the game would have played out if Ben did not play the Stoneforge Mystic. I don't know how much of a difference it would be. I think it would be a slight, definitely a slight difference. All right, Jared draws a show and tell.
That's not really going to help him too much. All right, we're going to see. Looks like he's going to go for it. He's going to use the petals and the island.
All right, so there's 3 mana. He's going to
He's
show
gonna
and
show and tell
tell.
in the Emrakul.
No, he's going to show and tell the sneak
And
attack.
Sneak attack,
Yeah.
yes, and then activate it. Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
Essentially, just save some mana. So I think Ben realizes there's not much he could do here with only 1 mana. If he had 2, it would be a little different.
Well, yeah, 2 in the Ancient Tomb is no longer a card.
Exactly. Yeah. So if that Tundra was untapped, it would be a bit different here.
Well, no, hold on. Jared would force the Spell Pierce.
He would force his Spell Pierce.
Go to 4.
And then the bolt would get through.
Go to 1.
And then he couldn't use the Ancient Tomb.
But he'd tap the mountain to put Emrakul into play. He'd still be good.
Because he drew show and tell.
Because he drew show and tell.
Exactly, yeah.
There's
he
his
has another
hand.
show and tell.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
well,
it gets it closer. You're right. It makes it closer, but I
Yeah.
don't think it costs him. I don't think it costs him anything.
Okay. I think Ben's just looking over everything one last time. He's trying to think, is there any way he can get out of this? He's going to go for the Spell Pierce here.
All right. So he picks one of the 2 spells. Spell Pierce. Jared knows now that he can't cast the bolt in his hand, and he's pretty confident this is the last turn.
Yep. He'll go to 3. Sneak attack comes into play. Ben is going to put. Does he have a land he could put in?
Nope. He does
No?
nothing. Here comes Emrakul.
He didn't have a land.
That's the game.
Like, if he had a land, couldn't he put a land and bolt him?
Yes.
Are you sure he didn't have a land there?
I don't believe he had a land.
Really? All right.
I'm not positive. I don't believe he had the land.
If you guys remember Ben's hand, after
if he doesn't land, he can't
20
do
hours
that.
of commentary, sometimes it's tough to remember the exact hand. If he did have a land in hand, let us know.
Well, the bolt won't work. I mean, there's
Why?
because he still has the Force of Will.
He does still have the Force of
He paid
Will.
for Ancient Tomb.
He paid for the
Spell
Spell
Pierce.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, it still doesn't get there.
All right.
I know there's so many.
I was pulling for Ben so hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, come on, Ben, do something here. Regardless, Ben is down a game. Jarrett won the first game. Ben's going to go to the sideboard. He's definitely going to bring in the Wear and Tear. He's definitely going to bring in the Red Elemental Blast. He's definitely going to bring in the Pyroblasts. And he's definitely going to bring in those 4 Meddling Mages.
That's a lot of sideboard for the match.
It really is. He's going to cut those Swords to Plowshares. He's going to cut the Lightning Bolts. And he's going to definitely get rid of the Umazawa's Jitte. So, all right, what about Jared? Does he have anything here?
Yeah, he does have things. He has 1 Red Blast of his own.
Yeah.
He also has some Swan Songs that he can use to be as generic counters. There's a lot of cards that don't work. He has a lot of hate cards for other matchups. The other thing is how much counter magic he wants to bring in. He has options of Flusterstorm, Divert, and Swan Song.
Okay.
I don't think this is a matchup where he threw the breaches.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to bring in the Blood Moon. I think Blood Moon's pretty good against the blue red.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this is a 3-color Delver deck. Blood Moon should be very good.
Yeah.
He does have 2 in the board.
Ben has 20 lands, but he has no basic lands. So if Jared could just land an early Blood Moon, Ben could essentially be locked out of the game. So yeah, Blood Moon's probably his #1 card that he wants to bring in. Pyroclasm's pretty good too. Pyroclasm deals with Delver Seekers. Pyroclasm deals with Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, now you have
Unfortunately, not the true name Nemesis.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to be aware of cards like boarding cards like Pyroclasm in this matchup, just because it's a 10-creature deck, and you're the combo deck. And I'm wary of boarding in a Pyroclasm against a 10-creature deck.
Yeah, but Jared played Owen, and he knows that Ben's probably going to play the same deck, and Owen did have 4 copies of Meddling Mage. So if it's a Meddling Mage...
So if he thinks he's just copying the list, then he wants to bring in Clasm to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. So the 2 cards that Jared's definitely going to go to the sideboard for is going to be 2 copies of Pyroclasms and 2 copies of Blood Moon, along with, obviously, a couple of blasts. Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, Blue Elemental Blast. All the blasts are just really good in Legacy.
So... in the dark, what does Benjamin name with a Meddling Mage?
I mean, obviously it depends. It depends if he has counters in his hand. Maybe Show and Tell.
Yeah, Show and Tell seems like the obvious one to name.
Yeah, Show and Tell is definitely a good one. If he gets a read on Jared, maybe something even as tricky as Lotus Petal,
that would be a pretty big one.
Yeah, you never really know. Intuition's one of them. Maybe even something where it's late game and Jared didn't use any of his brainstorms yet.
Because of cards like Wear Tear, Jared might not run out all the Lotus Petals as soon as he draws them. He may hold them in his hand, in which case Ben could name a Lotus Petal.
Yeah, the Wear and Tear is really good because the Wear and Tear could hit both a Lotus Petal and, of course, the Sneak Attack. Yeah, I still like the blue-white-red Delver side of this, especially after board because of Meddling Mage, because of the blast, because of wear and tear, and because you're able to kind of sculpt your deck in the way you want. Also, Sword and Feast and Famine is good. Sword and Feast and Famine is way better than Umezawa's Jitte.
Yeah, it's
in this
so
matchup.
If you're Benjamin and you have a Stormforge Mystic, and now you have a Sword of Feast and Famine and a Batterskull, are you getting the Sword, or are you still getting the Batterskull?
It depends. If it's just turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, I think lots of times the Sword is probably more devastating.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then definitely I think you'd want to bring it in and replace the Jitte.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens here. This is a matchup I really like. I really like seeing the tempo decks versus the combo decks. Normally because I'm always on the tempo deck side, and I'm always like normally pulling for the tempo decks, just because in all my career I've never really played a combo deck before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played combo deck one time back when they had like the Master Series in 2003, and it was the Heartbeat. No, it wasn't even Heartbeat of Spring. It was, I don't even know what you would deck yourself. You would deck yourself, and then you would shuffle.
Hermit Druid?
No, it wasn't Hermit
How are
Druid.
you decking yourself?
With a Future
Cephalids?
Sight. You would just play out your whole deck with Future Sight or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of the grinders for the Masters in Chicago 2003. It was crazy, and I just had no clue what I was doing. I'm like, why did I choose this deck? Yeah.
Like, this doesn't feel like Magic.
The deck was called Tight Sight. That's what it was actually called, Tight Sight. If anybody knows, tweet at me, because I know BDM wrote an article about it a long time ago. The deck was called Tight Sight.
Was it good?
I think it was good if you knew how to play it, but I didn't know how to
Okay.
play it, so I was like, this deck's bad.
All right, and we are underway. Remember, Benjamin will once again be on the play. We do see in his hand Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Meddling Mage, Ponder, Wear and Tear. A great slew of spells. Does he have? Whether or not he has the lands to cast them is going to be the question.
I don't know if those are 2 lands to the front, like actually to the back.
Yeah, if they are 2 lands,
I
think
think
it's a
it
key.
is, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we see a Scalding Tarn. I think it's a Scalding Tarn and a Wasteland. So that's fine because he has Ponder.
Yeah, on Jared's side, he has a lot of fast mana. He has a Force of Will, a Show and Tell, a Lotus Petal, and then a bunch of lands, but one of them is a Soul Land. So he has
Okay.
a lot of mana available. But I think this setup, at least, is one which is pretty good for Ben right now.
Sure. All right. So Ben gets a Tundra, and he's definitely going to, or almost certainly going to Ponder here. Ponder here, try to find another land, because I believe his second land is just a Wasteland.
Okay, so then he definitely will want more lands.
Yeah, there's the Ponder. Yeah, exactly. It's only a Wasteland. So his hand is very good as long as he gets another colored land. So look at the top 3. We see a Daze, a Wasteland, and is that a Misty?
Yeah, Days,
wow.
Wasteland, and Misty.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's a great setup. Because he can take 2 and not take the 3rd. So if he keeps on top, he will have to take 2. And I think he doesn't want the Wasteland
But he definitely wants the Daze and the Misty.
and the
Rainforest.
Misty, so then he can do that. And as long as he plays the Misty next turn, he can shuffle
Yep.
and never have to take the Wasteland.
All right, so really good hand for Ben. Pretty much the exact cards you want against the combo deck.
You want lands and Disruption,
Yep.
and then eventually a clock.
Yeah, I mean, and he kind of does have the clock with the Meddling Mage.
Yep.
It's not the fastest clock in the world, but it's fine.
Jared's going to start on Island. He does play Lotus Petal out, and then he's going to pass.
And this is what we talked about, where he could actually just, do a wear and tear on the
Yep,
Lotus Petal
he can just tear
if he wants to.
Absolutely. I think Jared was trying to make sure that petal didn't get spell pierced, but you have to, do one way you're playing around one card, the other way you're playing around the other
Yeah, I
card.
mean, he does have 4 spell pierces, only 1 wear and tear. So.
Right, so this is the correct way to play it. It's
Yeah,
just
definitely.
May not work out.
Yeah, okay. So Ben's going to play the Misty Rainforest. He's going to go search up a volcanic island, most likely, and he's probably going to name...
Yeah, here's the question. All right, what do
Show
you
and
name
Tell.
here? So you'd name Show and Tell right now?
yeah, I believe he's going to name Show and Tell with the Meddling Mage here.
Are
That
there
would be
any-
my guess.
So you wouldn't name Sneak Attack. That's probably the other reasonable thing to name, right?
I wouldn't name Sneak Attack, especially because I have the Wear and Tear in my hand and like a Daze and a Force of Will. So
Right, you
it's-
can fight over that card
Yeah.
really easily.
And plus, Jarrett might not have enough mana, but Show and Tell is just such a good card. You don't really want to risk it, so I would just name Show and Tell here.
All right.
So Ben presents his deck to Jarrett. Jarrett will give it a shuffle.
And let's see what he does. All right, Meddling Mage. Jared does have a Force of Will plus blue card. Is he going to try to counter it? You see there, Chris Pakula, the Meddling Mage. Benjamin is playing the other makeover of
Yeah.
Chris Pakula.
All right, but we'll see what Jarrett wants to do about this. You're right, he does have the Force of Will.
Right, but is this where he wants to burn it?
I don't think so. I think he just wants to hold on to it.
All right, he's going to let it resolve, it looks like.
Yeah, especially since he does have removal. He does have, Pyroclasm to deal with and whatnot.
All right, it's not in
could-
his hand yet, though.
Yeah, he could just blast it away. So we'll see what happens here. It looks like he's in the tank. what is going to happen. And okay, so it looks like something's getting written down.
Yep.
Okay, so he did name show and tell.
All right.
All right, good. So now Ben's going to pass the turn. And Jared draws.
Yeah, he gets right on time. He gets
there
a
it is.
Pyroclasm.
Yeah,
All right.
Pyroclasm.
That's decent here.
Maybe Jared knew it was on top.
He actually does have a show and tell in his hand.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to cast the Pyroclasm quite yet. He could
All
just
right,
sit
yeah,
on
he's
it.
just because he has so much mana available in his hand. He's not particularly worried about cards like Spell Pierce and Daze.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so on Benjamin's side, where he's gonna get to start attacking, he puts Jared down to 18 with the Meddling Mage.
That's definitely a good start.
Yeah, that's all the clock he has right now. You know, he's probably gonna have to add to that.
Yeah. So I believe he has a Wasteland.
He does. He has
He also has the
Wasteland.
Misty.
Yeah, Fetchland, Wasteland, Wear Tear,
And he's going to play the Misty and pass.
Daze, and Spell Pierce.
Yeah, a really good
All
hand
right.
for Ben. Just like a faster clock would be better. Ooh, there's a show and tell. So
Yes,
a couple
Jared
of good
has drawn-
draws.
Jared has done a second show and tell. He doesn't have anything to show and tell into play yet,
Okay.
so it's a little redundant.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, for example, say if that Meddling Mage was not naming show and tell, sometimes you could just name show and tell kind of to draw out a forcible.
Right.
So you just be like, show and tell, I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know,
You
yeah.
just show and tell like as though you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then of course Ben's gonna be like, oh, forcible. It's like, okay, my show and
he'll
tell.
fight over it.
Yeah, especially if you have like 2 show and tells and,
Sure.
and no action.
So Benjamin continues the hits down to 16.
We'll see what happens here. There's a Wasteland, and he just passes the turn.
Right.
Okay, so hand is still pretty much the same. He just drew a Tundra that turn, I believe.
Yep, and we see a red blast
Oh,
now drawn by
wow.
Jared. He's drawing a lot of good answers. He still actually doesn't have the combo yet.
Yeah, but I mean, Jared just drew like 3 of his best cards off the top.
Yeah.
He drew Pyroclasm, Show and Tell, and the Blast.
They're all very good right now. He just needs something to show and tell into play now.
Okay.
You know, like he needs an Emrakul.
All right, so there's a Batter Skull from Ben. Unfortunately, I don't think, Ben wants to just tap out for a Batter Skull
so
here.
how many, Ben would need 7 lands or so before it's safe to tap out for Batter Skull.
I mean, 6 lands is doable, right? Because you
doable,
could have
yeah.
Spell Pierce and Forcible with Daze.
Yeah.
And, Ben doesn't necessarily have all the blue cards also.
Even then, Batter Skull doesn't add to his clock that much, It's.
I mean,
it
it really
adds.
does.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going from 2 to 6. So
Sure.
maybe
So
Ben's
like a couple of turns.
maybe Ben's going to actually just go for it. He might,
Let's see
right?
Here. He did hit for 2. Jared is down to 13. So right now with the Meddling Mage is a 7-turn clock. Likely less because of those Scalding Tarns.
Yeah, I
So
mean-
probably it's more like a 6 or 5-turn clock.
Yeah, if he doesn't go for it now, he's giving Jarrett more and more time to draw, and his clock is not very fast.
Right.
So obviously we know what's in Jarrett's hand, and if we could relay a message, we say, Ben, go for it, and let's see what Ben does. He's thinking about it.
Okay, so he plays a 5th land. He has the option of making a Batter Skull here.
I
He could
don't
also
think
waste.
he
he's gonna
wants to waste
City
the
of
City of
Traders.
Traders. That's
That's fine, I think.
Eh.
It's gonna die on its own anyway. That's the downside of
yeah,
play.
exactly.
But if that to me says that Ben feels like he's in a pretty commanding spot. He wants to make sure that his Dazes and Spell Pierces are live. He just doesn't want Jared paying for all of them.
Yeah, that is reasonable. I think he's going to go for the wear and tear like we talked about.
He's gonna
Take out the
go-
Lotus Petal.
Yeah, he's aggressive. So this is an interesting strategy. Tell me. So he's aggressively attacking Jared's mana.
Yeah, he is. Because he has Spell Pierce and Daze, and he just wants, those to be turned on, like you said.
Yeah. Okay. So this is good. This is a good way to go about it.
This is one strategy to go about it, and, it's definitely not the worst line.
All right. So back over to Jared. Remember, he has a Lotus Petal, and now he has
There's
the
a
monster to put into play.
Grizzlebrand.
It's Gristlebrand.
So there's a Lotus,
Lotus
Petal from Jared.
Number 1. Yeah. So here's where things get fun. Remember, he has to first of all kill
The Meddling Mage.
the Meddling Mage.
Yeah. So Jared does have a pretty nice hand, though.
All right. Fetches down to 12. He's gonna probably fetch up basics, right? There's no reason to get non-basics.
No, he's going to go get a Volcanic Island, I believe, here. He might just get the Mountain. Yeah. I guess getting the Mountain is just, way safer because of Wasteland.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think he'll always need a red mana.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And if he always wants to get a Volcanic Island to have, more options, you can do it with the second Scalding Tarn in play.
Right. So it looks like he's gonna try to. My guess is I'd say he's gonna try to Klasm here. Right?
Yeah, I
that has
think-
to be step 1.
Yeah, I think he's going to Klasm, and then we'll see what Ben does.
Yeah. So Ben has the option of dazing it. He can pierce it. He can
could
force.
but that's
But he doesn't have another. Those are all his blue cards, right?
yeah,
So
right
he doesn't
now.
have he doesn't have like a fourth card to pitch to the force.
Okay, so if he spell pierces it, it's essentially him just making Jared sack that Lotus Petal.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It does go along with his strategy of attacking Jarrett's mana. I'm wondering whether or not we're going to see a Pierce and a Daze.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the best line. I think he wants to go Pierce Daze and he wants to hold onto the Force of Will and hope that he draws a blue card next turn.
Yeah, well, he's actually, if he Pierces and Dazes here, he'll be at 3 lands. He can replay one of them as a 4th, and he'll be 1 turn away from actually just casting Force of Will. So even if he doesn't hit that blue card.
That is true.
I don't know if he has the turn.
Wow, he just lets it resolve.
He lets Meddling Mage get binned. Okay. And then Jarrett will pass the turn.
I don't think I like that.
You'd want to see him use both, or?
Yeah, exactly, because that was his only clock, right? And, that Meddling Mage represents maybe negating 2 Show and Tells.
That's a lot of turns that Jarrett now has. Remember, Benjamin doesn't have... Yeah, I think you really put it right when you said that Benjamin now doesn't have a clock.
Yeah, he doesn't have a clock, and plus that Meddling... what happens... for example, what happens if Jarrett just has 2 or 3 Show and Tells in hand? That's a possibility.
Yeah, so... the life totals here are correct, by the way. Jared is at 13. We had him 1 lower, but now this is right.
Okay, is that a swan song you just drew?
That is a swan song. So he has a lot of offensive counter magic. He actually
does.
can't cast all of it. He can't show and tell Red Blast and Swan Song this turn.
Exactly.
But he does have 2 show and tells, so what it means is he can go for the combo, and he can repeat next turn if he wants to.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Jared's just gonna go for all basics here. Definitely a good line, a good strategy.
Now, are you gonna wait? Do you show and tell right now, or do you wait till you have 1 more land? Because if you show and tell right now, you know it's getting spell pierced.
I think Jared is going to go for it here.
So you show and tell, spell pierce, then you red blast the spell pierce.
Probably. We'll see what ends up happening. I think this is going to end up good for Jared.
Yeah, well, maybe. So
here's a spell pierce.
I think Jared has to red blast this. I don't think he wants to get the 1-for-1 here.
I believe he is going to red blast this.
Then it will get dazed.
He could possibly swan song this just because he might want to save that red blast for a Meddling Mage, or he could just let it resolve. So he just lets it resolve.
Yeah. All right.
So Ben draws. It's a brainstorm. Very good.
That's good. Now, by tapping here, Ben is taking down Force of Will mana because his only counterspells are Force of Will and Daze. Right now, he does have a double counterspell.
I know he does. Yeah. So I'm a little surprised he main phase brainstorms, but it might work out for him.
Yeah, I think that's. There's a lot of information. Yeah, he drew a
Pyroblast. Pyroblast. Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said for this line too. Really, what Ben needs to find is a clock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna put back the Batter Skull.
He really does.
I don't know if he just keeps all the lands. Doesn't he need to keep all the lands to just cast the Batter Skull? Like it's a clock, right? It's a real slow clock.
Yeah.
Or clunky clock, to say the least.
It looks like he is going to put back the Batter Skull. He definitely needs to keep the Pyroblast. He definitely needs to keep the Daze. He definitely needs to keep the Force of Will. And the last card in his hand is what again?
So he has
Force of Will,
Force, Daze, Pyroblast, Batter Skull.
Well, he just put back the Batter Skull.
And Misty.
Oh, Misty Rainforest? Why did he put back Batter Skull and kept Misty? Oh, because he wants to have double.
He wants to have the double counter.
Double counter that way. Yeah, that's
fine.
reasonable. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Once again, the wariness there for me is that he just doesn't have a clock.
Yeah.
All right, so Jared's gonna try again this turn. It looks like Ancient Tomb takes 2, goes to 10, show and tell. Here we go.
But Daze isn't even like a real counterspell though. So yeah, he's gonna have to do this anyway. So
why? So he doesn't have double counterspell.
So
he doesn't have triple or anything.
Yeah. So why did he even play the Misty Rainforest? It's not gonna. The Batter Skull is just better here.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's very similar. Swan Song, Pyroblast, Swan Song on the Pyroblast.
So you want the Swan Song to resolve, so you get the 2/2.
And does the 2/2 matter?
Of course, it's a clock. He's on 10. You have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. So you want to point to the next counterspell?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Okay. So he gets the 2/2. All right,
that's actually in general, it's good practice in a counterfight to just have all the spells target the business spell.
Okay. So there's a blast. So now Jared's gonna put in the Grizzlebrand.
All right. That's huge.
Yeah. So if Ben just had the Batter Skull, he could have put in the Batter Skull, and he still had you know what I'm saying? He could have had a Batter Skull in play. It would have helped.
Yeah, it would have helped. I think really that Ancient Tomb was just a great draw for Jarrett because you see he even has the 1 mana left over. So if Ben had the Daze to Daze, it still wouldn't have done anything.
So yeah, okay.
I think Jarrett just has his number.
Yeah, this is pretty bad here. Ben's going to have I don't know what Ben could really draw here to get out of this.
Swords and hope Jarrett doesn't hit Force of Will.
Swords is not really... He probably doesn't even have swords left in his deck. And Swords is just
Because Sword's never the only card it can hit is Gristlebrand, and that has the problem that I just described.
yeah.
It gets Force of Will.
I mean, even if he did have Swords in his deck, you go Swords, Jared could just go, okay, I'll just draw 14 cards. You attack me
Right.
out to 1, and now with my new 14 cards, I'll probably be able to kill
I'll
this
probably
somehow.
I'll combo you again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why Gristlebrand has really made Sneak and Show such a good deck.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. Grizzlebrand is just an excellent,
I
excellent
tried
card.
to put a Soar of Temptation in off of Show and Tell, and they'll be like, well, in response to Soar Trigger, draw 7. Oh, Red Blast your Soar. Okay.
Yeah.
You should be like, wow, Gristlebrand is awesome.
I still think this game might have came down to that, Meddling Mage. I think trying to protect that Meddling Mage would have been better because Jared did have 2 Show and Tells, right?
He did have 2 Show and Tells.
I don't think
Then
Ben,
the fight would have been over over the Red Blast.
Yeah, it would have been obviously a different game, but by
Yeah.
no need do I think Ben would have won the game automatically. But
As is now on the swing, Jared goes up to 17. Ben goes down to 9. We see a 2-card hand for Jared, but he does have a Force of Will in his hand. He's able to draw 7. Surely he gets a blue card to go with it.
yeah, I mean he could even let this Ponder resolve. He just did it in response to the Ponder, just because that's the correct play. But he could just let the Ponder resolve if he wants to.
Yeah.
So still in response to the Ponder. Now he's going to do a Brainstorm.
All right.
Wow,
Draw 3. Another Force of Will, and here is why Gristlebrand is really powerful.
Yep, exactly.
He's got a wall of unconditional counterspells that don't cost mana.
Yeah, so he
Yeah,
decides
it's just,
to
sure, counter Ponder.
Yeah.
Yep. Why not?
All right, so I think Ben knows this could be the end right here. Most likely
Yeah,
is.
your opponent's drawn a
A
lot,
lot of cards,
He's
yeah.
been down this road. I mean, the next one he can just play Sneak Attack and throw in Emrakul for good measure.
And it'll just be game right here. So the only thing Ben could really hope for if Jared just decides to pay 7 life to draw 7 cards and kill himself exactly.
Yeah, that'd be a daring line on Jared's side if he goes for that.
Other than that, it seems like Jared knows how to play this deck. He just came second at Grand Prix Washington, D.C.,
Yeah,
and now he's on his way to top 8 here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to show and tell in the Sneak Attack.
And then just sneak attack the Emrakul into play.
Yeah, he may want to hard cast the show and tell because that doesn't. Maybe
Well,
Benjamin
you mean
has
hard cast a sneak attack?
Yeah, I think it's because Benjamin could have some unexpected hate card.
Sure.
So he's gonna hard cast Sneak Attack.
And he's
Sack,
gonna
put in
All right.
Emrakul.
And that's it.
There we go. Jared
All right.
Boettcher, 2 games to 0, defeats Benjamin Battle, moves to 7-0, and almost surely into the top 8.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So congratulations to Jared. It's 7-0. Yeah. Most likely top 8.
Convincing.
Yeah. He probably needs like